you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. We do apologize for that little technical difficulty. Mr. Morris, are you still with us?
Yes, I am hearing you all clearly. Are you all hearing me?
Yes, we are. Wonderful. Okay, so let's kickstart the conversation with the very basic question. As Minority Leader, what are your immediate thoughts on the budget reading?
Well, I found the budget to be quite a positive step in the right direction for the country, Trinidad and Tobago. As usual, Tobago, the allocation to Tobago was consistent with the percentage allocation, about 4.3%. And while we here in Tobago would always clamor for more because there's a need for accelerated development on the island, we also have to, look at what we receive and hold those who are responsible for managing those funds to account. What I have a challenge with is looking at the last two allocations where Tobago received in 2022 about $4.4 billion. We received, 2021, that is on the cusp of this new administration coming in, they would have benefited from a $4.4 billion budget allocation. $2.4 billion. They've now received in 2022, $2.5 billion. And in 2023, they are going to benefit from $2.6 billion. So you're seeing year on year an increase in the allocation from the central government. What you are not seeing commensurate with that is the level of development on the island. And we all have to ask ourselves, after 2 years of this management under the Chief Secretary, Honorable Fali Chavez Augustine, whether we are better off as Tobagonians. And for me, when I speak to the people in Darrell Spring, Wim, and the people across Tobago, a lot of people are saying that this administration has failed to meet the expectations of the average Tobagonian.
No, Mr. Morris, you would have touched on this last week, but I want to ask it again because I want your perspective on it. The DRC would have recommended between 4.03% and 6.8% for the allocation for the THE. However, we would have received 4.36%. Why do you think Tobago consistently receives the lower end of the spectrum?
Well, I think it's when you have a pie to share, like any family, if you have resources to share, you will try to balance off the needs of everyone. And therefore, where we are within a twin island state, where you have needs across the country, there will always be a jostling for resources. And for some reason, traditionally, Tobago continues to receive the lower end of the spectrum. We would have had an opportunity, as you would know, the PNM would have advanced a very progressive autonomy legislation for bill for the people of Tobago, where Tobago would have automatically received 6.8%. That was rejected by Mr. Fali Chavez Augustine and his team. And we are seeing right now what they are actually asking for is within that very 6.8%. That so had they supported that bill, Tobago, without having to clamor, having to beg, having to make noise, would have benefited from 6.8%. Having said that, one of the challenges I want Tobagonians to be quite honest, the PNM administrations of the past would have had to make do with the very same 4.3% of the national budget, and the PNM was able to do a lot of things for the benefit of Tobago. We saw community centers being built, health centers, young people being able to get financial support to go out abroad and study. We saw where recreational facilities were developed. We saw the PNM being able to engage and hire young Tobagonians as they returned. But under this Fali Chavez Augustine, what we are seeing is young people being terminated, getting their contracts terminated. What we are seeing is that the contractors are not being paid. What we are seeing is people who depend on the social services, they cannot get the social support. The farmers who depend on TATCO to take their products, they are not being paid. and it is a total mess. It is a total chaos. And as a Tobagonian, a young Tobagonian, I am quite disappointed with the way this current THA is managing. Let's take, for example, the Executive Council. When last have we heard from our Executive Council? Do we even know if they meet as an Executive Council? Because in the past, what would have happened after every Executive Council meeting, the leadership of the Executive Council will come to the Tobagonians and report to us as to how they are managing our business. And what is even further disappointing is I recall this Chief Secretary upon his inauguration promised transparency in the way the Executive Council conducts its business. He even promised to expose and allow the media to come into the Executive Council so that we all can see the deliberations and have an appreciation for how the island is being managed. To date, that promise has fallen on deaf ears, and at this point, it has been almost an entire year. This Executive Council have not called a press conference. We don't know what is happening.
Understood, understood. Regarding the allocations for Tobago, the minister would have indicated a $64 million increase. Um, However, my sources are telling me that this $64 million increase is to pay what we call the recurrent expenditure and the increase of 4% to the public service. And we are seeing a $60 million decrease, however, in the capital development allocation for Tobago. What is your take on that, given your previous comment that the Tobago is not where it should be as it pertains to development?
So, Mr. Nurse, what I believe you might be aware, and what Tobagonians have to appreciate, that is unlike other places and other parts of the central government, the allocation Tobago receives can be reprioritized. And in fact, you would see in November, the Chief Secretary would come with something called a reprioritized budget. And what that means is the THA has the wherewithal to move around monies in a simple layman terms. They can move money from recurrent to development, and it's all about priority. So saying that we only got $260 million to do new things is really is the THA really misrepresenting the truth, because as you would know, in the past, the PNM administrations would have organized its business in such a way that even when you had shortfall on the development side, they would suppress certain things on the recurrent and then allow them to do the things that they believe was important. What does this administration believe is important? You would take $2.5 million staging the sea. We've rented a building in Trinidad, which no Tobagonian has received the benefit for over $2 million. Empty building, gone down the drain. We have given away $300 million to contractors that does not reside in Tobago. How do you develop an island when you are not channeling the resources in a way that the people of the island would benefit? And that is my challenge. I am saying we in Tobago need to start to really mind Tobago business. It cannot be that you just name yourself Tobago People Party, but you're not treating the needs of Tobagonians. And that is the challenge we have right now. MP Kujo said it best. When you look at what we receive, this administration received an additional $100 million in the last fiscal. Did they tell us that? No. They are going to also benefit from other development of the central government in the island. In fact, the A&R Robinson Airport alone is an additional $400 million. You have other things that would be happening through WASA, where they'll be dredging the Hillsborough Dam. You have other transfers to even old age pension that is paid. That is not paid from the THA's allocation, that is paid from the national allocation. So we can't just look at it in a very narrow-minded way. We have to also appreciate the kind of work that the central government does along the sixth schedule. And you also have to also understand that there are opportunities for the THA to collaborate with the central government and get even more. And this is the kind of approach that will bring the optimum benefit to the people. It cannot be about fighting, because I want to dispel something that is being said. that this central government is punishing Tobagonians. How do you punish somebody by giving them more? If you look year on year, the THA has received under this administration an increase in their allocation, and more than that, they have received it in a more favorable manner. They receive their allocation on a quarterly basis, and they received every cent of it. The previous PNM administrations during the period 2015, due to the challenges the country was facing, they were receiving their allocation month to month, which made it even more difficult to govern. And even so, the PNM was able to meet its commitment. They were able to treat and employ more people. But what are we seeing at this point? TATCO, 60 workers home on the breadline. We are seeing community partnership unit, over 40 people home. Where you're seeing monitor and evaluation, another 30 people. CPEP, they fired over 50 people. That is 120 Tobagonians. When you look at the construction sector, you have blacklisted 4 of our main contractors who were employing over 1,000 people. That is families, that is Tobago people who are now unable to provide for their families. And that is what I call political wickedness.
Understood, understood. But giving your comments, Mr. Minority Leader, can you safely say that the challenges that Tobago is facing is not unique to any specific political party? However, it has been a shared burden, given that Tobago has always received the lower echelon of the DRC Commission regarding the allocations from the central government. And from 2015 to when the PNM was last in office, they received the lower echelon. So is it that the is it that you're saying that the central government is doing well enough to prioritize Tobago's development? Because Tobago is a very small place, as many might argue, and one might argue that a lot of the development programs nationally should be piloted in Tobago, given its small and easy to develop nature. What is your comments on that?
So let us take it a step back. And the thing I started off by saying, the 4.3% has been a consistent figure thereabout across administrations from 2000 to present. What has been different is the way how that those resources, those monies have been managed. We have seen during the Orville London era how those monies were focused on developing Tobagonians, from education. Young people like you, myself, we would have been able to benefit from a policy that said we would assist Tobagonians to get education. We would have benefited from a policy that said that, and Mr. London made no bones about it, that we would, the areas in which Tobagonians can contribute towards development, that is in the construction sector and all of that, we would ensure that those opportunities favor the Tobagonian. And we saw a number of Tobago contractors being developed to the point that some of them were able to diversify. So you have people who ended up in the hospitality sector. That is why we can benefit from a comfort inn and so forth. You would have seen that we would have said that we wanted to develop world-class athletes. So you would have seen the kind of focus on developing sporting facilities throughout the length and breadth. We also seen the fabric of Tobago is about treating with the village, and it's very sad that a party that campaign about building people village by village, child by child, they have dismantled the community spirit. What is happening at the level of community development? The PNM focus on building community centers so that we can have a place to congregate. And this is how the resources of Tobago were used during the era of the People's National Movement. It was about developing Tobagonians in a developed Tobago. What are we seeing at this point in time? The funds that we are receiving, it is being spirited away. Little to no Tobagonians are really seeing the real benefits of what we are receiving. When you have a road paving program that only favors contractors from outside of Tobago, how do you develop the island? When you have priority projects such as a stage in the sea that brings absolutely no benefit to the people of Tobago, how do you develop the island? When you have an agricultural sector that has declined by 7%, you have tourism that is lagging, and you have a secretary that refuses to appoint a qualified and competent CEO. How do you develop an island? When you have an administration that does not even have an economic development plan, there's no foundation, there's no roadmap, there's no guidance to how we develop the island. I ask the question, how do you develop the island?
Okay, Mr. Morris, we're running out of time, but before we wrap up the interview, there's one thing I want to ask you. In the past, for quite some time, many stakeholders have been calling for a new building for the Scarborough Secondary School. However, the allocation as it relates to developmental capital doesn't really seem to take that into consideration. What strides do you see the THA as well as the central government taking to ensure the safety of our students?
So do you know at this point, the PNM administration, central government approved a $300 million facility for the THA. And as far as I understand, only about $175 million of that was utilized. So it therefore means that the THA at this point, they have within their remit the ability to access over $125 million as far as I understand. It may not be the exact figure, but there's an opportunity there to access that funding. And that funding, if they really believe that building a new school for Scarborough Secondary is a priority, then there's nothing stopping them from accessing such facilities to ensure that the education of our children is placed at its very optimum and at its maximum priority. And I'm saying this, the challenge we have at this time is about management, is about planning, and it's about priority. What does this administration see as their priority? And when you look at it, when you look at what they are focusing their energies on, it is not the things that are beneficial to Tobagonians. They are focusing on things that are beneficial to themselves. And it is sad that an administration that campaigned on fixing things is destroying this beautiful, and I would use their slang as I go out, they are destroying the smallest little beautiful most island on the planet. They are destroying this island slowly but surely. And I am calling on Tobagonians, let us put party aside. Let us put Tobago first and let us get together to rescue Tobago from these misfits.
Okay, Mr. Morris, we want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us this morning. We really wish we had more time. Hopefully, you can come back another time to continue the conversation.
Yes, I really enjoyed this, so I'm available and hopefully we can chat some more.
Most definitely, and thank you for always being available as well. Okay, so viewers, we're going to head to a short break. Next, we're going to be with Miss Natalia Nantes as she conducts her interview. So please remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.